Even if the sitcom genre has given us many cherished characters and treasured moments, there's always more to learn about the icons that helped to define television history. From the well-known Cheers to its renowned spin-off, Frasier, these programs are jam-packed with unexpected information and behind-the-scenes tales that may surprise even the most ardent viewers. Get immersed in these lesser-known jewels and get ready to see the TV series you love from a whole new perspective. Cheers barely made it through the first season. Cheers was not an instant hit, much like many of the biggest success stories in television history, such as Seinfeld and The Office. When it debuted on September 30th, 1982, it received terrible reviews. According to Nielsen, it ranked 77th out of 100 shows that week. The public didn't quickly grow to appreciate Cheers' eccentric personas and distinct sense of comedy. Brandon Tartikoff, who was NBC's entertainment president at the time, prevented the show from being canceled in its first season. The Cheers model is now called Cheers, after the Bull and Finch pub. Oh, how art imitates life. Co-creators Glenn and Les Charles determined the location should be changed to New England after it was agreed the series would take place in a pub rather than a hotel. Word quickly got out that the Bull and Finch pub in Boston's Beacon Hill district was the real Cheers as the show's popularity increased, turning the bar into a famous tourist destination. In 2002, the Bull and Finch changed their name to Cheers formally. Sam Malone played football professionally at first. Sam Malone was an ex-football player in the early drafts of the script, which made sense given that Fred Dreyer, the former NFL defensive end who would go on to star in Hunter, was a front-runner to play Sam, against Julia Duffy as Diane. William Devane was also a serious contender. Because of Danson's physique type, the producers decided to replace football with baseball after the casting was complete. Ted Danson was a student of bartending. To prepare for the role of Sam, Ted Danson attended a bartending school in Burbank, California for 2 weeks. Subsequently, Danson acknowledged that the bartending training was an enormous waste of time. His clever anecdotes were far more valued by the Cheers creators than his mixology prowess. After competing in an international bartending competition, Danson said to CBS News that he was the worst bartender in the world. "I went to bartender school before Cheers. I learned how to mix drinks, but I learned very quickly the jokes play better from the waist up." Cliff and Norm were not meant to be typical characters. John Ratzenberger and George Wendt tried out for the same part in the pilot, which was that of George, a supporting character with just one line that said, "Beer." After Wendt was cast, the character's name was altered to Norm Peterson. Ratzenberger, nevertheless, was not going to give up so simply. I asked them, "Do you have a bar know-it-all?" as I turned around to leave the office after the audition, the Bridgeport, Connecticut native Ratzenberger recalled in an interview with Ability magazine. The authors were not from New England in the slightest. They were all focused on Hollywood. And I thought, well, every neighborhood bar in New England has a know-it-all, someone who acts as though he knows everything there is to know about the world and isn't afraid to share it. And thus, Cliff Clavin was born. The model for Norm Peterson is a real guy. Co-creator Les Charles revealed to CQ in 2012 that Norm was inspired by a real person. After graduating from college, I worked at a bar where a guy would come in every night. He wasn't called Norm, but every night we had to help him leave the pub because he would always have one beer and then remark, "Maybe I'll just have one more." "Tell her I'm not here," he would constantly say when his wife called. George Wendt's real wife voices Norm's never-seen wife, Vera. Although Bernadette Burkett, the wife of George Wendt, is only given credit for one episode, she was the voice actor for Vera, Norm's wife. Burkett did make one episode of the show, in Season 3, as Cliff's love interest. This gave the couple a great opportunity to collaborate. Norm frequently admits that he has a strong affection for Vera, even though she is never truly shown on television, despite his incessant jokes. In real life, George Wendt and Bernadette Burkett are parents to a boy and a daughter, having wed in 1978. John Ratzenberger created a lot of Cliff's fun facts on the spot. Ratzenberger ad-libbed many of the haphazard and false facts that Cliff Clavin presents. In 1993, Ratzenberger said to Deseret News, "After a couple of years on the show, they realized they could trust me not to mess it up. Thus, gradually, they've allowed me to just kind of disappear. Since I am aware of when to stop, improvising humor is simple. It is, however, understanding when to stop talking and give others space to speak is an art. It's challenging to learn that." A part of the speech was inspired by actual bar chats. The show's makers would frequently visit bars in the Los Angeles region to listen in on conversations among guests in order to perfect the bar talk element of the show. A debate concerning the sweatiest film ever made is included in the series premiere and was inspired by one. A bar is a place where everything that happens in life can end up, one of these overheard conversations said. Cheers co-creator Les Charles said, "You go to celebrate, drown your sorrows, meet and fall in love, break up. It's a fascinating place to study human dynamics." Cheers didn't back down from addressing social issues. The creators of Cheers never shied away from discussing taboo subjects like drinking or homosexuality because they were always lighthearted. Even though it was generally frowned upon to discuss these topics in such an open setting throughout the 1980s, Cheers showed no fear. The GLAAD Media Award went to authors Ken Levine and David Isaacs for their work on the first season episode, The Boys in the Bar, in which one of Sam's former teammates comes out as gay. Sam's HIV scare plans had to be canceled. A few of the series' scheduled episodes were never filmed because of the Writers Guild of America strike in 1988. One of those was a cliffhanger from Season 6, where Sam finds out that his ex-girlfriend had HIV. Few sitcoms from the 1980s addressed the challenging subject of AIDS. Although Cheers was regarded as a lighthearted comedy, it's intriguing to speculate as to what may have transpired if the show's creators had included a narrative involving a fatal illness. Not every Perlman on the set was like Rhea. The cast and crew of Cheers became a second family to all the actors who had roles in the iconic television series. But Rhea Perlman wasn't the only member of her family to grace the set of Cheers. She had already arrived on set with her own biological family at her side. Heidi, her younger sister, created multiple episodes during the show's existence and produced over 24 episodes between 1985 and 1986. Phil, Perlman's father, performed as a regular patron of the bar. She also got a famous spouse, still. Rhea Perlman and Danny DeVito, who got married in 1982, moved in together after just 2 weeks of dating in 1971. Having 3 kids and an extensive list of performing credits together, including Matilda from 1996, everyone was taken aback when the couple revealed their split in October 2012. Even though they reconciled in 2013, the pair separated once more in 2017. However, a divorce is not likely to happen anytime soon or ever. Though they are even closer friends than before, neither of them has any plans to finalize the split. Perlman even said, "We agree on things enough, so why ruin that with the yucky things that come with a divorce?" Perlman acknowledged that living apart has made a world of difference in the couple's relationship and communication. Eddie Lebec was murdered by Jay Thomas. Character actor Jay Thomas hosted a popular morning radio show in Los Angeles when he wasn't playing Carla's Bruin-turned-ice show performer husband, Eddie Lebec. This is precisely what caused him to be killed off rather prematurely by way of Zamboni. After a few episodes of recurring bliss, one day on Jay's radio show, a caller asked him what it was like to be on Cheers. He said something to the effect of, "It's brutal. I have to kiss Rhea Perlman." Well, guess who happened to be listening? Jay Thomas was never seen on Cheers again, said writer Ken Levine. For the U.S., a mini-episode called Cheers was produced. The United States Treasury hired Cheers creators early in the company's existence to produce a unique mini-episode to encourage buying U.S. savings bonds. The episode, titled Uncle Sam Malone, was only ever meant to be shown as a promotional video for savings bond drives. It was never shown on television or found on any of the DVDs. Although the uncommon episode was never made available officially, viewers of Cheers were nevertheless able to locate it on writer Ralph Phillips' Vimeo profile. Additionally, a scene from Lost was shown during the 1983 Super Bowl XVII pregame show. In an exclusive scenario written by writers Ken Levine and David Isaacs for Super Bowl XVII in the early months of 1983, Sam, Diane, Carla, Norm, Cliff, and NBC pundit Pete Axum wager on who would win the big game. In his blog post, Levine recollected that the advertisement was viewed by 80 million people and that it was run shortly before kickoff. That many eyes on anything we've ever written, before or subsequently, has never happened before. However, that scene was never seen again. It was never included on a DVD. It simply vanished. Ted Danson played hair-obsessed Sam with a hairpiece. The way you saw him at the Emmys is the way he looks, Annette Wolfe, Danson's publicist, said after his bald debut. I think Ted probably will be doing roles with and without the hairpiece. In the 1993 episode, It's Lonely on the Top, Sam shares his follicular challenge with Carla. This fact became apparent when Ted Danson accepted the Emmy, sans hairpiece, in 1990. Danson was praised for displaying his true self by women and men alike. Even though there was no laugh track, viewers frequently complained about the volume of the laugh track. When viewers complained that the laugh track was too loud, a brief disclaimer stating that Cheers was filmed before a live studio audience was added to the opening of each episode in 1983. It turns out that the show and the character antics were just so funny that they drove the crowd into hysterics, which ended up upsetting fans who watched Cheers on their home televisions. Is there such a thing as being too funny? The original script for Frasier was intended for John Lithgow. Lithgow was not interested in working on the small screen, despite having recently starred in All That Jazz, Blowout, and The World According to Garp, for which he was nominated for his first of 2 consecutive Oscars. I just said no, Lithgow recalled to The Hollywood Reporter. I barely even remembered that. It was like swatting away a fly. I just wasn't going to do a series. He also later stated on the subject, saying, I turned it down because episodic television was beneath my dignity at that point in my life. Lithgow would go on to star in Third Rock from the Sun, Dexter, and The Crown. For 20 years, Kelsey Grammar portrayed Frasier Crane. 4 months after Cheers ended in May 1993, its spin-off, Frasier, made its debut on the redesigned Cheers stage, no less, and ran for its own 11 seasons from 1993 to 2004. Grammer's 2-decade run as the pretentious psychiatrist is a record-breaking one for an American comedy actor. Crane was originally intended to be a short-lived character, but Crane's popularity with audiences led him to becoming a series regular. Mother of Tony Soprano played mother of Frasier, too. Her portrayal of the manipulative and bitter mother of James Gandolfini's Tony Soprano in Livia Soprano, which was also her final role as an actress, made Nancy Marchand famous. She died of lung cancer in 2000, and her character was written out of The Sopranos. Her character was notoriously against Diane and threatened to kill her if she did not end her relationship with Frasier. Rita Wilson, the wife of Tom Hanks, later played the character in a 2001 Frasier flashback. The only main character on Frasier who didn't make a guest appearance is Kirsty Ali. Kirsty Ali, who played the iconic character Rebecca Howe on Cheers, replacing Shelley Long after she left the show, was the only major cast member of Cheers not to appear on the popular spin-off Frasier throughout its 11-season run. This could be because the psychiatric field conflicts with Ali's beliefs as a Scientologist. Kirsty once said she'd never do a show about a psychiatrist, Kelsey Grammar told Entertainment Weekly in 2002. Ali went on to win an Emmy Award and a Golden Globe for her memorable role on the show. Frasier's father was miraculously raised for the spin-off. As for his family, Frasier mentioned on Cheers that his father, a respected psychiatrist, had passed away. However, his father was a former police officer, and John Mahoney plays his father in the show. Mahoney made a special guest appearance in the 11th season of Cheers as a talkative jingle writer named Cy Flimbeck, who was hired by Rebecca in season 11 with only $200 to spend on a jingle writing project. Hillary is the first name of Norm. Hillary is the name of actor George Wendt and Bernadette Burkett's daughter. Hillary was supposedly named after his grandfather, who once killed a man for laughing at him, or so we learn in that memorable episode of Season 9 of Cheers. However, Hillary is best known by his middle name, Norm, which was shortened from Norman. This information was revealed to the bar regulars on Season 9, Episode 20 of Cheers in 1991. It was a complete coincidence that Woody played Woody. It's purely coincidental that Woody Harrelson ended up playing Woody Boyd, even though many of the non-regular bar patrons' real names were used during filming. The character's name was written into the script long before any actors had tried out for the part. Timothy Treadwell, the actor and bear enthusiast at the center of Werner Herzog's documentary Grizzly Man, also tried out and came very close to landing it. Of course, Woody Boyd went on to become one of the most beloved characters on Cheers during the show's run, and even made a guest appearance on the spin-off Frasier, where he visits Frasier in Seattle. Norm drank near beer. While the set's bar was operational, that didn't mean the actors got to spend the day sipping cold beers. Norm, the bar's resident lush, was probably the worst off. He was always seen holding a sudsy glass of beer, but what was actually in it was near beer, which is a weaker strain of ale mixed with a little salt to maintain a perfect head on the glass at all times, something Wendt regrettably had to drink more than once. The program assisted in spreading the concept of a designated driver. The creator of the Harvard Alcohol Project, J.A. Winston, was able to meet with and influence Hollywood producers and writers to include the message in their TV scripts. Cheers brought awareness to society about an importance of practicing safe driving after a night out. At the time, there was no such thing as calling an Uber. The producers of Cheers were keen that no tipsy bar patron ever drove himself or herself home, so there are frequent references to calling cabs and designated drivers. By the end of Season 5, Sam and Diana did tie the knot. The real ending of Cheers, which has Diane leaving for 6 months to finish her book before returning for a guest appearance in the final season, was filmed on a closed set. This was done because the show was filmed in front of a live studio audience, which meant that the producers had to occasionally trick the audience so that show developments weren't leaked. To keep Shelley Long's departure from the series a secret, the live audience saw Sam and Diane get married at the end of Season 5. Cheers habla español. Cheers debuted in September 2011 in Spain, with Alberto San Juan playing an Irish pub owner who used to play soccer. The plot of the Spanish version of the show was the same as that of the American version, but it was much less successful and only ran for 1 season before being canceled. The opening theme was the same catchy song from the American series, Donde la gente se divierte, where everybody knows your name. Ted Danson is totally to blame for the show's demise. Producers decided that Woody might take over the bar after Danson stated he was leaving the series at the end of the 1992-93 season. The show's co-creator, James Burrows, remembered that Woody Harrelson scheduled the series ending because he was unwilling to carry on without Danson. Ted's edict to us caught us by surprise. We discussed whether or not we could carry on when Ted expressed his want to leave, and we concluded that Sam Malone and Cheers were too symbiotic to continue without him. The cast and crew celebrated their send-off extremely inebriated. Thousands of fans flocked outside Boston's Bull and Finch pub to watch the broadcast on 2 jumbotrons as NBC turned the series finale into a massive event complete with cast and staff celebrations. Subsequently, the beverages continued to be served without interruption. Ken Levine summed up the evening for Vulture in 2013 by writing, "The show ended at 11. The next 30 minutes were a tidal wave of emotions. Everyone was crying, giving hugs, and drinking a lot. We were all in utter disarray."
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon